Hey everyone, good evening everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. Lord, me just a smile a going so. But there's a reason for smiling, one of the most disturbing things I find, when you go to greet somebody, when I say go to greet somebody, let us say you go to a bank or you go to some regular place and you have to, just some customer service things you're doing. And the person's face is sour. It's one of the most disturbing things, It's sometimes you almost forget the reason why you're there, and you just become so centered and focused on the person's demeanor, the person's disposition, their facial expressions. And I find it highly disturbing. It's something that I find it a distraction, and sometimes you try to look past it and it's quite difficult. When you try to look past it, but what's the other worst part? When they open their mouth and everything is just saying, really, why are you here? Why are you talking to me? Do you realize that I do not want to talk to you? They're basically saying all of that. And it's like a, I don't know if it's a needle. I don't know if it is or a nail just picking away at you. Just, somebody just like a needle or take a pin and just hit at you. That's one of the most disturbing things I find. So you will find that when I do these videos, I will put a smile on my face and I will try to sound very bright and cheery. Depending on the subject that I'm talking about. Because I don't want to be talking about somebody who passed, in terms of an illness or some accident or whatever it is, and I'm making a point with it, and you see my teeth just a grin well like that. I don't think I really have the best teeth though. But anyhow, thank God. All of the teeth them in my mouth are my own, so give God thanks and praise. Alright people, so I'm doing this particular video because I was talking with some persons this evening and something struck me, something came to my mind. I have two neighbors, not immediately living on the same avenue as I live, but basically nearby in close proximity. And incidentally, the two of them, they're single, but they're in their 90s. One of them, a very vivacious, a lady with vim, vigor, and vitality. Miss Sams, oh my God. May God bless her. My memories of her as a child is just great. She was just a wonderful stalwart. I didn't even know till just recently she was a teacher. I just thought she just treated us very good as children in the neighborhood. And one day I went to look for the other one, incidentally, who was a teacher at Immaculate and other schools. I mean, this lady is like Einstein in every subject. I asked her once, I asked Miss Lawrence, I said, Miss Lawrence, which subject you consider the best subject, better subject or something like that I had asked her. She said, no subject is better than other. Like all of them is equally good for her. She said she realized it's a gift. That's a special gift. It has to be. Because for me head and maths, no, it don't work out at all. But anywho, let me not stray too much. So I went to look for Miss Lawrence and, she was in a hospital. Well, not really a hospital. She went for a checkup or whatever it is. So I went over to Miss Sam's. And so when Miss Sam's hold you, she beat me, them hold, you go AM and you come and you leave the AM. Not the same AM. And I went over to her and started talking with Miss Samson. As I say, it's a very vivacious type of lady. So one vivacious person to the next, so that's nice. And the conversation centered around something that I never really thought about. I have a friend who said to me, Toni, and you have a kind of a special spot for the downtrodden. The persons, the lower echelon, the persons who may not have it, not only financially, but socially, they're not necessarily up there with the Joneses. And she said to me, Toni-Ann, always do this as best as you can and as much as you're able to. You see, the man that looks dirty and the man that is smelly, even if he's sweeping the street, even if he is what you call it there, like a janitor, garbage collector, whatever you want to label them as, the worst possible looking person, treat that individual with respect. Treat that individual as how you would probably treat your own mother, your own father, your own daughter, your own son, whom you love dearly. We're talking about now, people. Treat them that way, because you never know what can happen. One day you can be walking on the road, or you're driving on the road, and you should fall ill, or something happen and you fall down, and that very same person that you pass by because you think you're above them for some reason may have to be the one to help you up and carry you to the hospital. That individual might just be the one who saves your life. Treat the dirty and the smelly man or woman, as the case may be, with respect. Treat them as how you would treat your mother, how you would treat your father, whom you love dearly. Treat them as how you would treat your own children. Treat them as how you would treat your spouse, your family members, your very dear and great friend. Because if you should fall down, that is the individual who will save your life, or who has the ability to save your life. If it is even to call out for help, for somebody else to come and lift you up and put you in that vehicle, because it has happened. My encouragement to you, my beautiful Jamaican people, if you're watching from another country, treat people the way how you would want to be treated. Just put yourself in that position, and then you treat the person accordingly. I know it's one of the most difficult things sometimes, because usually if you're, as human beings, if you're passing somebody and they look dirty and they're smelly and they seem insane, you you might have to be cautious, especially if they're insane. You don't want them to come and do something crazy and create some harm to you. But I'm saying, if they should stop you, don't behave, don't turn your nose up, don't cut your eye past them, don't, sorry people, let me just put this thing on. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I hope it didn't block you guys out. I was trying to, so that I don't get any disturbance while I'm doing this video. Right, so, you might not have the time to stop, but just, if you have the time to stop for a minute or two, listen to what they have to say. Listen to what he has to say, listen to what she has to say. Be careful, be cautious, be vigilant, because you don't know if the person is up to no good. But at the same time, the general point in this is to treat the person with respect, treat them with love. Twice I heard of 2 different situations, one here in Jamaica and one overseas, where the pastor decided that he wanted to test, I guess, not only the dedication of his members, but to see where their hearts were. Where their hearts and their minds and their souls were, so to speak. And what they did, I'm just giving you the 2 stories in one. They would differ in some way, some little tweaking here, but I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of it. I just wanted to get the main point, the salient point. And they both dressed up in old clothes, dirty, smelly clothes, and I guess made them face look blacky and terrible, and sat at the doorway of the entrance of the church and started to beg. And he watched how each and every member treated them. And what I was told is that in both scenarios, in both situations that are real, or were real rather, that majority of the members treated them badly, treated the seemingly homeless men badly. They treated them not good at all. There was no love, there was no care, there was no concern, there was no affection. They turned their nose up at the men. And one of the particular stories, or I guess both of them, I guess the pastor revealed himself, during the service, and say, you see, one of the main reasons why you guys are here is not only to love the Lord God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, and to serve him and to preach his word and to spread the gospel, but also to love your neighbors as yourself. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It is so funny. I was thinking to myself that I've been going to church for a number of years, and we preach. I hear a lot of preachers, not knocking any preacher, fine. It's a culture. When they're preaching about sin and living a sinful life, they tend to hit out on sexual sins, fornication, adultery, and then they hit out on murder, killing, stealing, all of that. And it is so funny. those particular ones, you have 10 commandments and they come down maybe midway or some further down than midway. And the first commandment, we don't preach against it in that vociferous way when we're preaching about sinning against God. They use the sexual sins as the paramount, as a guideline as to sinning, as opposed to the first commandment. It's the funniest thing when I'm doing some retrospection, and thinking and saying, I can't recall pastors preaching and hitting and fire and brimstone, so to speak. Not to say that you have to preach fire and brimstone, but the point I'm making is that I don't hear them talking about it's sinful to put any other gods above our Lord God. It is sinful to treat your neighbors poorly and badly. You don't hear that type of preaching when they're preaching against sin, when they're preaching about sin. It always centers around mainly the sexual sins, apart from, and then maybe stealing and murder and all of that. And it's one of the funniest things. And yet it's a very first commandment, a part A and a part B, because the truth of the matter is, if you really follow that first commandment, you'll follow others, If you follow that first one, you'll follow others. And sometimes, I wouldn't say a majority, maybe of the times, the social ills that we face in the society in Jamaica. Let me speak to Jamaica. I always say I'm going to relegate it to the country that I'm living in, but even in the world all over, it is because we really don't follow that first commandment. And part B of that first commandment, which says, love your neighbor, treat your neighbor the very way you want somebody to treat you. Your neighbor is even that madman on the road. Your neighbor is even that dirty, smelly man on the road. That cokehead that comes across you, that insane person, that person that just looks terrible on the outside. They're human beings as well, And it's just unfortunate that they're in that particular position. And the only reason why you are not in that position, my dear friends, is by the grace of God. Whether you want to believe in the Bible, whether you want to believe that Christ exists, it matters not. That is the reality. So your knowledge of reality doesn't cancel reality. Your lack of knowledge of reality doesn't cancel reality. The reality is you're not on the road or on the streets or homeless, mad, insane, dirty, smelly, because of the grace of God. Whether you believe in Him, yes or no, that's just the reality. But I'm encouraging you, please, do some introspection of your own lives and look at how you treat people. And I don't mean that you have to go and high pitching up your voice. We're not being ridiculous. I'm talking about just even your demeanor. Somebody approaches you, put a smile on your face. I find that my mother and I, we have a serious countenance on our face if we're not speaking to anybody. If you will come, and if my mind, glad my mind can think about 1,000,001 different things. I was talking with, my manager today. Sometimes when they just, I move because my mind moves fast. And if I'm processing this process, I can have a very sharp and serious countenance. But you see, once you start to engage me, what I immediately do, I put a smile on my face and try to make my tone of voice better, because I want you to get my undivided attention. I want to show you that respect and regard that you deserve as a human being. I don't care who you are. Even if you're a mad person or whatever it is, or homeless and smelly, I'm not going to say I'm not going to be vigilant, because I have to be smart if the person not righted. I don't want the person to come do all kind of craziness, but I don't have to be scoffing at them and turning my nose up at them. I don't need to do that. Just be respectful and be loving. And what I do, I now put a smile on my face and I engage you in the conversation, whoever it may be. Because I always tell myself, I don't like when I'm talking to somebody and their face is sour. Their face looks bitter. When they're talking to me, it's monosyllabic. It's very dry. It's basically saying, I don't want to talk to you. Why are you speaking to me? I do not like you. I can't stand you. So I try not to do the thing that I don't like. And I won't tell you that I'm perfect. You see, when me vex, people who know me well, Lord Jesus, me can become a monster. Me can be so miserable and flustered. And God has helped me over the years. I have not reached the mark yet of that meekness and mildness, and You know, but I'm getting there, people. Just go and pray for me. Go and pray for me. Cause me dip on the Gideon. Me dip on the Gideon. But I'm getting there. And it's not easy sometimes. But I try my best, especially if we're having a conversation, to talk to you as how I would want somebody to speak to me or speak with me. Because anything can happen. My neighbor, she kept saying over. She said the same thing over. Treat them with respect, Toni-Ann, because if you should fall down on the road, they're the same ones who will have to pick you up and carry you to the hospital and save your life. She was a teacher, and she remember she used to pass them. Some of these, you know, those guys on the road. Probably some of them dirty, smelly, and go, boy, as Jamaicans would say. And they would say, hello, miss, because she was a teacher back in the day. Hello, miss. And she's, no, as a matter of fact, before they say, hello, miss, she would say, gentlemen, good morning. How are you? Whatever, and they move on. And she say, in the far distance, or you know, she could hear them say, she manizably. You know, Jamaicans, they don't say mannerly. They would say, she manizably. But you know what they're saying? If, God forbid, if she should fall down, trust me, they're the first ones to pick her up and carry her and get help for her. I remember one day, and it's so funny. I was talking with the other neighbor, the other 90-odd-year-old neighbor, who lives exactly beside her. They have been friends for years. And she said to me, God is so good. She taught at us. She said nobody can tell her about bad area and bad this and bad that. Because she has taught from the worst, from the uttermost to the guttermost. Or from the guttermost to the uttermost. Whichever way you want to say it. You know, it's a kind of a symbiotic play. And from the, proper ghetto, bad area. And she said because of how she spoke to those bad men. As you know, some of them probably were gunmen and all of that in the area. You know, the school that she taught. They never broke into her car. They never destroyed her car. Never. As a matter of fact, they were like watchmen over her vehicle. And what they would do if they knew some social upheaval was going to take place in the area, what they would do when they said, miss, they probably come and knock her up and say, miss, I want you to leave now because I don't want anything to happen to you. That's the other neighbor now. And they looked out for her. I'm talking, she went, and she was in proper some real garrisons and where she taught some of the schools. Because of her attitude. Because she decided that she would have followed that first commandment or part. You know, I guess she followed all of it. You know what I mean? She put God first, put no other gods above God. Jehovah God. Jesus Christ. She put no other God above him. And she treated her neighbor just as how she would have wanted somebody to treat her. And I think I always said to myself, you know, that, and you know, those two ladies, part of their long life, I think, is because of their investment in the children, their genuine concern for them to learn. They live their purpose. God must bless them with long life. God never waste it. Them not there and make people's lives and live in hell. They might try and make others' lives even better than theirs. And it's so funny. The two neighbors, although they live alone, they have people coming there monitoring them. I remember my other neighbor, Miss Lawrence. She has some nieces and nephews because they don't have children of their own. But Miss Lawrence has some nieces and nephews and all of that. She said, I sometimes treat her every single day. They call her, treat her. If I carry her to the doctor, you know, for a usual checkup, and they don't hear from her, Lord, then call my mother. Then call yes, this, so everywhere, so. And they're abroad. And I guess she can't even make a few hours pass before she don't contact them. And if she want a patty, believe you me, they find it. If she asks for, she say she has given up. She will say to them, I just want, like she would say, one bread, one hand of banana, one whatever, because they'll order it for her and send it to her. You know, if she can't get anybody to get them for her, and they'll order it. My Lord. When she said when the things them come, I mean, if some of them weren't because they're not durable products, you know, they're going to spoil. She probably have to give away a lot of it, and she said it doesn't make any sense. She even tell them if you not buy the whole heap. If she asks for one bread, all 3-4 come. If she asks for one hand of banana, like the whole stock, you know, that big something that they carry that you can hardly lift up as women. I mean, it matters. Whatever she asks for, they get droves, they come in. But you know what happened? She sowed a seed that in her latter years, the blessings follow because she treated those. She treated other human beings the way how she wanted to be treated. Remarkable woman. She invested in the lives of many young persons who were illiterate, young teenagers who were illiterate. In months, they became literate and they were on par with those who were learning from they were 3 and so forth. The other one may have done the same. She treated them good. And the ones and when they were hungry, she never embarrassed them. This is the other one now. Miss Sam's had gone back to her. You know, when some of them, the clothes terrible on them, it's torn and it stays bad, she would just talk with whoever administrator, some administrator and the other persons, and get them on board to get some stuff for them, food, and they never, she said this, she never made the other classmates know that, you know, this one didn't have this, that one didn't have that one. She just helped them privately, succinctly and privately, because she decided to treat them as how she probably put herself in their position and say, can you imagine if it was me, what would I have wanted somebody to do for me? Right? Fed them, helped them out. Treat people the way you want to be treated, people. Talk to people the way you want to be talked to. You're not going to get it perfect all the time, because when you're human beings, you're flawed. I understand that. But as much as possible, treat people. And you say if you do somebody something wrong, apologize. I don't care if, you know, somebody was saying to me, you know, sometimes people do somebody something bad and they're so embarrassed, they're afraid to apologize because they're probably afraid of the backlash or the rejection. And, or they say, boy, it has been a long time, so it makes no sense. And, you know, sometimes, even though the person may have forgiven you, you know, sometimes at the back of the person's head, they say, boy, all I would have wanted was the person to say sorry. And, you know, when I heard that, I said to myself, you know, you're so right. There are persons who have hurt me in this life. My God. People that I don't know. People that I've done no wrong. 90-odd%. I've never done one single solitary thing to them, as far as I know. Some of them I probably even had a conversation with, and the things that they have done and said about me and that are false and not true, and tried to cause others to be against me and to hate me and to not like me and to create a false persona of who I am. And I've had to forgive them. I've had to. It wasn't easy. I've had to forgive them. And, you know, sometimes, you know, in the back of my head, I said, God, for those who hurt me, who it was pronounced, it was covert. It wasn't covert, it was overt. Sorry, it was obvious that they had hurt me, and they know and I know. And it's like you wish them would have just said sorry and really mean it. You just want to hear those words, I'm sorry. So I know what that person was saying. Even if a whole heap of years pass, and even if you forgive them, just to even hear the words, I am sorry, makes a big difference. It's like you respect the person now. You have this level of respect and regard for the individual. And if you did, it took it a notch or two up. You're not too big to apologize. And that is part of treating others the way you want to be treated. Because if somebody offends you and hurts you, and you want to hear those words, I'm sorry. You want to hear those words, I'm sorry. So just as how you want to hear those words, I'm sorry, when you do somebody something wrong, apologize. You're not too big to apologize. None of us are. We are all human beings. One of the things that I've heard Les Brown state is that we're not, I don't know who originally said it, but I loved how they coined it. We're not escaping life alive. People, we are not escaping life alive. We're not escaping life alive. So what's the use being unforgiving? What's the use holding up somebody, holding a grudge, or being envious or bad mind and jealous? What's the use of all of that? Why not just, since we only here for a short time, even if we live to be 120, 130, it's still a short time. Because back in the days of Adam, you know, they lived to 900 and this, 900 and that, you know. So what is the use in us just exhibiting just negative behavior? It makes no sense, because we're not one of us. Not care who want to live forever and ever. Amen. You saw me young now? If God life spare, I make live a little longer, make a look, hold on. Just like my granny hold her. May God bless her. She's God's willing. May she'll be 102 years old. Pray for her because she dropped and broke her hip and her foot. And wow. Wow. You know, easy. Pray for my grandma. She's a good woman. Good woman. Raised children, grandchildren, great-grand. Although she didn't raise great-great-grand. I mean, I saw my her great-great-granddaughter eating something. And she has one. And she still try share with the little great-great-grand. I'm like, this lady don't know when if done with her kindness. She can. Beautiful woman. Wonderful woman of God. Wonderful woman of God. Just pray for her because I can imagine the excruciating pain that she's in. So pray for my grandmother, Catherine McCullough. But people, please, I beg of thee, treat people the way you want to be treated. Please have mercy on them, have compassion on them, and have a level of stick-to-itiveness to your friendships, to your relationships. Don't be quick to give up on people. You see somebody a certain way today. I heard a pastor preaching, that, his nephew, the parents had hell with the nephew. It's like he'd start, I shouldn't say hell, well, maybe hell in a sense. And he just went through a bout of depression, and the more they pray, the worse it gets. Sometimes the more pray, the worse it gets. Today the guy is a very good lawyer with his family because he dropped out of school and all of that. Today that guy is a very good lawyer with his family in the church and all of that. You see what I'm saying? Don't give up on people. And that was because they decided not to give up on their nephew and their son, as the case may be. Alright? People, treat others the way you want to be treated. Be compassionate. Jesus will not have no compassion towards each other. Have a little understanding and mercy, please. I beg of you. It's hard sometimes, but we have to try, because one day you're going to be in a position, where you want somebody to exude compassion and understanding, And then you'll understand how it feels when somebody didn't show you the mercy. The Bible says, whatever seed you sow, you shall reap. Please treat people the way you want to be treated. Most of all, put God first. Put God above everyone and everything else. Put no other God or gods above him. Please. That is another topic in and of itself. People don't joke them with God. It's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of God. Do me a big no. So my beautiful people, I wish for you a wonderful day as we embark on this new journey of treating others the way we want to be treated, putting God first, and as the first commandment with a promise. So have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Stay sweet. We'll soon see you outside even more and more, okay? Just go on with the faith, people, and go and pray. All right, love you know? Have a good one. Stay blessed.